I'm Bad Karma, and joining me for that intro was Little Karma. I'm also joined in the booth by Nth, and we have our restreamer Neobari, and we got our tracker Warling tonight. We've got an exciting Ogre Axe race matchup for you guys. Nth, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm quite excited by this race here. It's a very interesting group situation, and both of our runners here have everything to play for at this point in time. Whoever wins still has a chance of making it into those play-ins. Whoever loses, unfortunately, will be knocked out. So this is going to be not the last match for GeminiHero. Obviously, we'll have one more match after this, but this is basically going to be the sort of be-all, end-all of the rest of their tournament here.
Absolutely. Both of these runners need a win just to have their hopes of staying alive. This is definitely a situation of win and pray, as you're going to need a little help to get through. Slipper needs needs to win this to go to 2 and 3. Gemini would need to win today and tomorrow to get through, and hope for a couple other losses on the way, hopefully to get a tiebreaker. So this is going to be really exciting. Neither runner is out of it, so despite the record. So this could be really exciting. We'll see how these runners really decide to stack up. And look at these objectives, and we have 4 moon objectives behind that darkness crystal.
The sort of key question to me as we get late into this tournament and see more of these, late into the group stages and see, sort of the end of people's theorizing on these flags, kind of the big decision point is when you go to the moon. With flags like this is you go to the moon as soon as possible, and I think whoever manages to find that darkness crystal first and manages to feel comfortable going there is probably going to be in a very, very good spot to take home the win.
Right, and that's going to be really important too. And with these other objectives, we've got, harp being required. Everybody loves to see the harp. Barren Castle basement. We don't have to liberate Barren Castle. That's going to be some routing decisioning that's going to come into play depending on when we get that Barren Crystal. We are going to need the hook and that rat tail as well. So this is a nice set of objectives. It's not just all about the darkness crystal. So we could have really long chains on Earth and then get to the moon late, or maybe we get an early darkness crystal and maybe we'll see a D machine grind or some other grind to get us to clear that moon out.
Oh, I'd love to see D Machine on group flags. I don't think we've seen D Machine on group flags. I want to see D Machine on group flags just because I want to see what's going to happen when that goes down. We've got a Porum start here, I believe, so that's already going to be a pretty low power start, unless we're paired with like an Edge or one of the really, really strong starting characters. So that's going to look awful tempting, especially if their choice is like figure out a way to do D Machine early or figure out your way down a hook route without a great setup. And hey, with the Tela, there's more for that D Machine.
There's definitely for that D Machine. Starting off with the Luca key, the Sealed Cave not required, but I am of the personal opinion, you get an early key item like that, when you get a chance, you should probably check it. Seed's trying to tell you something. It doesn't always play out, but hey, something could be down there in the bottom of the Sealed Cave.
Absolutely, and it's a nice, easy check to get to see what you're actually going to get out of it. You can just run down. If you don't get anything out of it, you just reset. You don't have to walk all that way back out. You might want to wait until you have a source of port, which with the Tele, you're probably going to want to go up Mount Ordeals at some point in time, unless you get a Magna Key and think you can get other characters. So, yeah, I think definitely Luca Key early could be on the table here.
Yep, and we're seeing GeminiHero running over immediately to Troya. Probably going to be checking the bedward. Slippery, wanting to see. We got Kid Rydia here having a drink with Odin. I don't think she's of age, so I hope her drink is chocolate milk.
Definitely. There are plenty of wonderful juices also available in the Baron Inn. Personally, I'm a big fan of the local Baron apple juice from the orchard just outside of the thing, that forest down there. It's wonderful.
Some really nice loot here in Baron today. Slippery hitting a lot of these checks and was able to sell for some decent items in that Baron item shop. I believe that was hourglasses in there.
Yeah, only a cat claw over on Gemini's side for just a from the bedward check, so not anything we can use right away, but going to go over to this public treasury. Hopefully we'll find something good there. And also, speaking of good items, I did notice that there were coffins in that starting kit. And that could be something very, very useful if we get one of those free bosses in an unfortunate location.
Yeah, especially with this low power Porum and Tella. We go to Hobbs and we get something like Dark Imps or Officers. That's going to be a free character right there with those coffins. That's a really nice pickup. I haven't had coffins a lot of my starter kit, so it's nice to see that when you get them, and we'll see how our runners decide to use that little starting set.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you find like some sirens early. You want to take some early eggs just to get a few levels. Once you get underground, you can just pop them with that coffin, not have to worry about anything. It's really nice to have. The big question to me is, do we just take check sort of in the almost canon order because we're at this low power start? Or is one of our runners going to try and deviate from that a bit? I gotta think that we're probably going to see the Antlion Cave as pretty much the first stop for both. Maybe after Mount Hobbs, though.
Yeah, I haven't seen what else has been in the starter kit. If we got like a Gaia drum anywhere or anything like that, that might lead me to go to Hobbs first myself. Ooh, that was a lot of money hanging out in the DMC basement. But yeah, any J item can still get us through Hobbs. These Thunder Stabs, Thunder Rods, not really going to do it, but you know, hey, there's Soma drop though.
There's also Star Veils as well available in that Troya shop. You know, that's a good thing to be able to find early on. You know, if you run into a Goldbez, you run into a Wyvern, you don't have to worry necessarily about burning through all your Star Veils early if you already know where they are and bought some. Also, mute arrows over on Slippery's side, definitely worth pointing out there. If we get some early mage bosses, those are going to do quite a bit of work with that form.
Yeah, that Troya shop combination was like the anti-Asura spot, you know, with Star Veils and Mute Arrows. So, and we are going to be going Archer Porum here to start us off. Don't hate this at all. She's not going to contribute all that much, but put her in the back row with some gear. She could take a hit. We do have Gemini heading over to Edlin Castle.
Now, do you think the Gemini is going to try and take some of these trap chests? I think that might be a bit rough in this particular case. Might not be able to get through those. I don't believe you can coffin a lot of the real difficult things in there, and looks like he's just going to do the non-trap chest to start, which tells me that he's probably not going to be looking too hard at those trap chests later on.
Yeah, it really depends. You know, for me personally, I like coming to Evelyn as actually my first spot to go, just because the loot here can just be so good. You're gonna live and die by the loot that is here, but you can find a number of good things just hanging out, like a Stardust Rod, Crystal Ring is big, you know, for that early agility manipulation to get maybe that Tella or that Porum just moving a little bit faster. Things, you know, like that are just hanging out there, and it can really jumpstart your, you know, especially with this low power team.
Yeah, and speaking of agility manipulation, there's also a silk web, I believe. Yep, in that pot, there's a spider that's been building a web inside there canonically today. That's another great thing to find early on. Once you get to that Zeromus fight, be able to throw that, slow him down all the way so you don't have to worry quite so much about that. So, real good find. Or if you find, say, bad Kenatsu or other sort of boss that you might want to slow as well, always good to have one in the back pocket, especially where we haven't seen them in shops yet, I don't believe.
Yeah, no, and right now Gemini still hasn't really pulled anything other than that crystal ring that really jumps out at me. It's still gonna be, you know, make things a little. Never mind. There's an Artemis bow.
There's an Artemis bow, but I don't know if GeminiHero picked up the mute arrows that Slippery did, so it'll be a little bit blunted in terms of how much that helps. Obviously, the 15 agility and strength on Porum is always going to help, but might go a bit better if we had a bit better arrows to put on her. Meanwhile, Slippery going to find edge here on this Mount Hobbs check, and all you have to do is take down the CPU for it.
Yeah, not a big ask here. CPU not having a lot of health. As we just saw, the orb's already down. Gaia drum going out. This will be a really quick fight, and then Slippery will be off and away with this edge. That is going to give the edge, you know, here in the early game.
Definitely always good finding CPU in a spot like this where it's going to be easy to take care of, as opposed to a spot later where you got to try and figure out how to do, you know, like 50,000 damage to it. I think I saw CPU at Elements the other day, and I was just sitting there like, this is going to be a while. So definitely a good time to find that. Finding a rune ring on the other side, but not really anything exciting. When that's the most exciting thing, you probably aren't having the best time on looting the backside of Hobbs.
Yeah, but having Tella with that exit, that's the backside of Hobbs is actually a pretty underrated spot in my opinion. It's got really decent gear. Rune Ring is not something to to scoff at either. We run into Baron Guards, we run into Magus Sisters, we run into Sura. That Rune Ring makes those fights really free.
Yeah, Slippery really well set up for mage bosses in general at this point, between that and the rune arrows. Not really great edge weapons yet. Those dancing daggers are helpful, but hey, GeminiHero, speaking of mute arrows, just found some in one of these Evelyn chests.
Yep, and also a wide number of different weapons to dart for that edge that Gemini's about to get. I assume Gemini's probably going to be going to Hobbs here shortly, either Antlion into Hobbs or Hobbs into Antlion. So we'll have a better amount of weaponry to dart than Slippery has right now.
Yeah, definitely. It does look like he's going to head over to Hobbs here. He'll be pretty well set up to deal with that CPU, if not a bit better. Might be able to conserve that Gaia drum that Slippery burnt on the CPU fight and use that somewhere else, which might come in handy, but we'll see how he ends up going through here.
Oh, Gemini had found a set of charm arrows somewhere. That's really nice to pair with the Artemis bow.
He's in really good shape, honestly. Finding that chain staff and the Lilith rod as well, so can get some good damage going out with Tella as much as Tella's limited magic stat will allow, at very least for now. So definitely a good little tiny bit to get to start. We just need some actual spells for Tella to use that on.
Yep, and that'll probably prioritize, especially if we're thinking, with this 4 objective moon, our runners may be thinking quick seed, so may want to go to Ordeals to get those spells. Slippery did do a full loot of Antlion. That's really interesting. I like the loot in Antlion, but not enough to do the full loot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I think it's sort of the end point of these flags is how much looting do you want to do and where do you want to do it? That is the real big question when we have these high completion seeds that tend to not eliminate runner deviation, but kind of lessen how much it has an impact. And so because that, Slippery finds the magma key here in the Antlion cave, giving us underground access. I think there's a school of thought in this case saying, you know what, I'm here, I might as well do my looting here instead of somewhere else. Doesn't seem to have paid off too great, unfortunately, in this case.
Yeah, not with getting that magma key right now. Now you've got a whole nother set and a whole nother tier of loot available to you. I would definitely, if you still feel like you need some more power, maybe loot the Land of Seven Monsters and the Feymarch. There's only one trap chest down there. When you want to feel a little froggier, maybe go into Sylph and try and pull a trap chest out of there if we've got an hourglass. So Slippery's got the entire underground open to him though. Gemini will not be very far behind though, as he is getting through the CPU fight.
Yeah, another thing worth noting too, if we have, say, a really easy boss down in the Land of Summon Monsters as well, those Feymarch fights are not required in quotation marks, as in maybe they have something, but if you sneak something good out of there, that could be quite interesting as well and would give you a big advantage just from going down there immediately, especially if GeminiHero sees that magma key and says, you know what, I still want to do some more on the overworld before I head underground.
Yeah, and that's going to be too with those Feymarch bosses. There's a number of Feymarch bosses that look scary on paper, but if you are aware of their mechanics, you can actually take them with really low-level parties, and they're not all that scary, And then other bosses like Plague, for example, if you get your agility set up right, you can get that Star Veil off, and it's a free fight.
Absolutely. Slippery looking like he wanted to sell quite a bit to maybe try and pick up that Sylph summon sitting here in the Agart shop. Not going to quite get the money for it, and at this point in time, I'm kind of wondering whether or not that would even be the best pickup right now. I know we have Doridia sitting in that Baron Inn, but we're kind of getting to the point where I feel like that Rydia wouldn't necessarily be adding much at this point.
Yeah, and that could just be, wanting to not have to revisit the shop, just in case Rydia is the best option. We don't know. We know now it's not a hook route, so we're not worried about that. But, maybe early moon dive, and you do a D-money. Sylph on Rydia is really nice for D-machine.
Absolutely. And speaking of nice things to find down here, Slippery finding an assassin dagger in a chest on the way down the Feymarch decides after that first floor, I'm done looting. I don't need to check the rest of these. I don't want to reset and go through all this again. But that'll be a nice little bonus should we get anything that's weak to it with that edge able to equip it already.
Yeah, saves you to have to use those sirens. You can, if you can time the hits right, you can get those quick swoons and just make those fights. And here's my question: I know we've only really checked like 3 key item spots, but where are our key items? We've had 2 out of the 4 checks be regular items.
I think how many key items you're getting early has to probably weigh on your mind quite heavily with this set of objectives where we have those 4 moon-based objectives, because to me, I kind of want to have 10 key items or close to it by the time I go up to that moon. It might be a very, very interesting situation if that moon is required way before then. And speaking of free fights, there is one of the 2 free fights here in the Feymarch at that queen spot. It does look like officer and soldiers.
Oh, that is nice. If we can get our agility set up and get that edge to shoot off one of those coffins, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be a big pickup for Slippery if he can pull this off.
Definitely looking like he might be reconsidering at this point. I'm not sure if he doesn't have the tents available to him. No, it does have tents, so might be considering not going for it. Does sell the assassin dagger.
Yeah, he wants one of those ninja swords, it looks like.
Can't say I blame him. Get that ninja swing and really get going here. This is probably going to be a really big benefit at this point. We see Gemini going into Agart now a little bit behind and sort of following in Slippery's footsteps due to a lot of that early looting in that Eblin Castle. We'll see if that'll help him make up time on the sort of backside of following around here.
Yeah, and that's going to come down to, T Wildish gives you a lot of money. GeminiHero has some more things to sell should he decide to do so. It has some more tools for the agility manipulation that we were just talking about with that crystal ring and that Artemis bow. That is going to allow Porum to easily outspeed Centella, even without a curse ring. So that's going to, make a difference once Gemini gets down to this Feymarch to see if we can get this coffin off. And it looks like Slippery may be trying for it through the glass hat on the Tella. Maybe turning me into a liar, though.
I think there's probably a world in which you don't necessarily want to commit the time right now to clearing that fight. At least commit the time to using that tent, saving again probably for safety, just in case things go sideways. You're not 100% sure you'll get through it, that sort of thing. And you might want to come back once you're sure you can deal with that other spot, which I believe was an unknown sparkle. So that might just sort of be on his mind, like, you know what, that is free, but I'm going to be coming back later anyways. I'm not going to deal with this right now.
Yeah, on the flip side, though, I would have liked to see Slippery at least check the sparkle. Oh, there's a free ninja sword, so now we've got double ninja sword with an ophthalmic laboratory technician hanging out. But that is double ninja sword for Slippery. That is a nice find there.
It's unfortunate I have to bid goodbye to my absolute favorite named weapon in this game, Middle Sword, who unfortunately will no longer be on that edge at this point, as we do have the double ninja sword at the moment instead. And a curse ring available here in Tomra.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see another good chunk of items get sold here. Don't hate this at all. This is a big pickup as well. You don't have to worry about agility now getting this curse ring.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just slap that on the Tella and there you go. If you get a Fu later, Fu can also wear that cursed ring just fine. Also take care of your agility and just sort of use them as a direct upgrade to Tella. Definitely sort of creeping back in as one of the premium things to find in this flag set, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be seeing, I'm sure we're working, Neobari, our restreamer, is working to get GeminiHero back on the screen. Looks like something just kind of blipped out. But meanwhile, looks like Slippery's going to be checking more loot here. Not going to be doing the bosses here in Dwarfish, I'm sure, just checking the shops. Not sure what Slippery is looking for. Maybe Sirens?
Possibly sirens, possibly hourglasses that are higher tier. I believe hourglass 2 can't show up until the gated shops. So that might be a possibility as well. I think those are hourglass 1. Well, no, hourglass 1s don't show up in shops, do they? I don't remember anymore. I'm starting to question everything I know about this game today.
That's all right. I do that on a daily basis. Heck, I question myself in the middle of runs. So
Exactly. It's kind of hard to say what he's looking for then. If we already have hourglasses, we already have coffins, I think. We already have sirens, I think. Well, I don't think we have sirens yet, but do you really care as much about sirens for this particular set of objectives?
no, I wouldn't. I would like to think that we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna get 10 key items, and we're gonna be clearing those moon bosses. We're gonna be getting tons of XP that way. So Slippery is still looting though. Looting here in Seal Cave, might be looking for trap chest, or just trying to hopefully get lucky and not pull a trap chest.
Yeah, it's always kind of worth it to me to check those early ones because Sylph Cave has pretty good loot on the whole on T Wildish. And I've seen the occasional cheeky pull of an extremely good item out of there enough times to know that just taking those checks for granted is not always the wisest decision.
Yeah, no, and as we see Slippery setting up Sheila 1, I don't hate this. This is a good way if you're just planning to go to Fabul now. Definitely go get 2 for 1 instead. So the shopping and the looting for our runners, as we're seeing Gemini. Gemini's going to be rewarded with that extra ninja sword, it looks like, as well. So going to be still up, in my opinion, on the item power. But Slippery is still taking advantage of that Evelyn Castle dip. And is still a little bit ahead.
Yeah, the big question is how much is this time that Gemini is spending very still meticulously going through these shops, all these checks, going to be compared to just sort of hitting the gas, so to speak, and hitting the open road? Because we're spending a lot of time there, and at some point in time, he has to start making up that time by using that power. So it'll be interesting to see where that starts. Probably when he gets back above ground and starts heading to this full check, which is just some dark imps today.
Yeah, we talked about having those coffins. We're not seeing these bosses that we want to use those coffins on in spots that, other than that Sura spot. And we didn't get to see if Gemini peaked that or not during the technical difficulty that we had there. So it looks like we are getting some Toad Dark Imps, and Slippery will have zero problems with this.
Yeah, completely 100% free fight. I'm mostly just shocked that Tala managed to land a status spell appropriately. Good for him. Let's make sure we're all giving him our congratulations for today. It's not every day you see that happen without a failure.
Yeah, he wasn't even in the middle slot.
That's right, top slot Tela landing a status effect spell. We might have had a first on the restream today, so remember to note that down as well. But a tower key with that underground available, the entire underground is open to you now.
There, you could make an argument to do a Penguinator special here. If you wanted to just do something, if your tournament life is on the line, and you were like, I gotta make a play in some way, I could make an argument for a Penguinator special right now. It's 1,000 HP spot. You should be able to clear it with that edge, no problem, and get that key item. And if it leads somewhere, it's progression. Who knows when your opponent may go and do that.
Yeah, I kind of look at it that way, but I also look at it on the other hand of it too, where we have that Luca key available. That kind of makes me want to do the tower in its entirety when I do it, because if I do the tower, do the dwarf castle, go back and take that officer soldier fight, see who the sparkle is there. If the sparkle is something I can deal with, that's great. If not, that's a problem. Go down Luca Cave. I don't have to go back underground for the rest of the siege. I can just stay above ground and not worry about it at that point. I'm never going to forge unless I'm really, really desperately needing a weapon for a Cecil we don't know exists yet. So I think that's going to be the sort of question there is, do you want to make that big play, or do you want to just try and bundle everything together when you get down there?
Yep, and it looks like Slippery's going to be heading to Baron Inn. Going to be checking on this Rydia, who is drinking her juice with the Odin in the bar. Meanwhile, Gemini is going to be taking on these Dark Imps.
wondering what's in the second spot here, because the second spot is always what trips people up in Baron Inn. Odin's already gone. That edge is swinging for 4-digit numbers already. We're fine. Ooh, is it Senator Crocodile?
It is.
The esteemed Senator Crocodile has made his way back into the Baron Inn tonight. I'm very excited to see this. This is going to be a pretty good chunk of experience from a spot that does not give experience normally too.
The only thing that I would have liked is to have Tela with spells, because Edge does not have enough MP to flame all of these fights.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. This is kind of one of those things where fading Ordeals is a great idea until it's not. Envision true crime documentary photo negative effect there. But yeah, we're not going to be able to get some of these fights down particularly efficiently. We'll get through them safely, but it might take a while.
Yeah, Slippery's going to get through these fights no problem. Even if he runs out of flames, he's going to be able to take the hits.
Absolutely. Now that we're sort of seeing Gemini doing this bit of looting into the pool, not really finding much, Slippery gonna have to grind his way through this alt gauntlet at the moment. Fang Shell still alive. I think that's wave 2 down now. It's a great time to give you all a quick reminder to follow our runners as well. Without all of our runners in this tournament, we obviously would not have a tournament to put on for all of you, so want to make sure that they're getting their proper due here and giving us a very interesting start here. 23 minutes in, I don't really know what the right move next is. Although it looks like Gemini is going to go for Ordeals, and that's going to be our first real meaningful deviation here.
Yeah, and also do give a shout out to the to our restreamer Neobari who rolled this seed for us. Have not seen 4 moon objectives before on a restream myself. Also, Warlink, you might have a little while before you can click some of those objectives, and so far having a hard time finding key items to click too. And also, Ed, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely, and thank you to you as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of this race goes, as Gemini has hit this first Mount Ordeal spot, and it is Dolls. That's another pretty free boss out of the way. I'd start getting nervous about how many of these free bosses I'm seeing early.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen Officer Soldier, we've seen Dolls, we've seen DMs already. CPU, you can consider a free moon fight in a lot of cases. Those are all fights you'd rather see up on the moon. This Gauntlet, glad to see it here on Earth, though.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see, imagine a moon where you have like Magus sisters at the Masamune altar and just all that sort of fun stuff that you have to try and get around. That's what I'm hoping for now. It's still looking like it's possibly going to come true at the moment.
Oh, this moon has so much potential to be brewed still, and we've only seen, not even a quarter of the boss. Oh, there's Viking on the back attack.
There's an interesting question that's put in chat. Moon CPU wouldn't be worse than early CPU. It's kind of one of those things where CPU is just an HP sink, no matter where he ends up being. Just a bit of a time sink, because all he can really do is percentage damage. So because of that, he tends to be fairly free no matter where that CPU pops up. Just because as long as you can heal through that damage and you have enough time, you can get through it, no problem.
Yeah, and chat pointing out too, not to add to the CPU conversation here in a second, but we did find the Ogre Axe as a key item. That's got importance. You cannot sell that Ogre Axe, Slippery. Don't do it. It's bad luck.
Yeah, absolutely not allowed. If you get the namesake of your group, then you absolutely have to keep it. And clearly the namesake of your group is always hidden within the seed, which is why if I was in the tournament, I would be hoping that I would end up in the Avenger Sword group that does not exist. But in this particular case, just me over here in group Avenger Crystal Sword Adamant Armor Zeus Gauntlets. It's fun.
Zeus Gauntlet is a group.
Exactly, I just appended all the other stuff to the front of it in hopes that it would give me a chance of doing well in the race. But anyways, here's another free fight on top of Mount Ordeals.
Yeah, we know this is Baron cards. That was a Baron key as well. That is that's some flavor of vanilla. I'm not quite sure what. Baron guards given the Baron key.
Yeah, but a Baron key is also the first time we're going to have access to an objective in this seed, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both of our runners basically run straight down Baron right after this, and then after they get through the castle spot, because they're probably going to do the throne while they're there, see if they can take that basement early, and there can be some bad stuff there.
Still could be a couple of free things. King Queen Evelyn has not been decided yet.
That is true, but I'm hoping King and Queen Evelyn are taking a nice vacation to beautiful, not sunny Mist Cave today, where you can see such sights as Mist and Cave, and just really enjoying their time there.
Up until recently, sometimes you could turn that mist yellow.
Oh, did they fix... Did we fix the yellow mist, finally?
I thought I saw somebody say that they did.
I might have missed that in the past. This is the greatest news I've had all day. Thank you for mentioning that to me. But GeminiHero easily threw that Baron guards fight. Looks like he's heading over to Baron Inn, possibly next, and obviously Baron Castle soon after.
Yeah, good routing decision though to go to Ordeals. Gemini doesn't know it yet, but that alt battle is going to go a lot smoother with Tella's full continuum of spells, and then it's going to be able to go right into Baron. We're probably going to see some convergence on that Baron Castle.
Definitely. I think Gemini might have actually leapfrogged Slippery a little bit somewhere along the way, depending on how long it takes him to get through this gauntlet, which might not be as long, since he can lean on those Tella spells in order to get through some of those fights. So he might have actually just taken the lead here just through force of having done Ordeals first.
Yeah, that back and forth, you know, it's only like 10 seconds to fly from Ordeals to Baron. But, you know, it's there and back, so it's 20 seconds. And Slippery didn't have that much of a lead in this gauntlet. Depending on how quickly Gemini gets through this gauntlet, it's going to have the extra Tella tools to do it. So I believe we'll probably be seeing Gemini hit, I don't even remember who that first boss was.
You know, that's just how it goes with that Baigen spot, is every single time we start a seed, when I'm here on commentary, I'm like, today will be the day that I remember who is at the Baigen spot.
It was Demon.
It was Demas.
I remembered! Haha!
Congratulations. On your successful memory. Successful completion of the hardest task on Free Enterprise commentary, remembering who the first boss is that gives you the key item at the start of the game. I'm so proud of you for that moment. Congratulations.
Concussed Gamer, so DKC, yeah, would definitely, really would only have a use as an anchor. The Black Sword could be used to get some swoon procs and, you know, to knock out some of those early, you know, like that officer fight down in the Feymarch. But for the most part, with how powerful Cecil is right now, just you want that Paladin Cecil. I can't see a reason you wouldn't even go out of your way to do Ordeals, even late in the game, to get that Paladin Cecil if you have the right gear for it. Now, right now we don't, but you know, it's there in a lot of seeds. There's not very many reasons where you would say I'm going to fade Ordeals and I'm going to take a DKC to be my anchor to go through that.
Yeah, I think in this case we're sort of referencing that mention earlier, if you get your group name, you have to make use of it kind of thing. The theoretical Dark Knight Cecil group. I have seen people take a Dark Knight Cecil through this Aromas fight, and it looked like the least pleasant time anyone has ever had playing Free Enterprise, is all I'll say about it.
Yep, and our runners high-fived as Gemini wanted to save and get the Rydia going. So we have this convergence here with the divergence of looting and stuff like, you know, the things that our runners have done. We've now converged here on Baron Castle.
Yeah, it's Well, Slippery is still a little bit ahead. Not very, very far ahead. Sort of this little bit of we're kind of seeing the kind of forgotten backside problem of what happens when you loot as much as Gemini did and you don't necessarily discard everything. In that he has a lot of inventory that he has to tab through, and he's spending a lot of time and menus for it. Remember, he has the Baron key, heads back to it now. Who hasn't done that in their time? I know I've done it before. And he's going to be on his way here shortly.
Yep, but meanwhile, Slippery's going to be starting this Demas fight, and not going to have any issues here. I'm more interested in who's sitting on the throne tonight.
Absolutely. There's not too many things I think could give our runners problems, but there are a lot of things that can be annoying there. Goldbez is always Goldbez there. Wyvern is, to me, the absolute worst thing you can find, because your last save point was back outside of town unless you want to go way out of your way for it. So, well, I guess there's the one in the waterway too, but who goes to the one in the waterway?
I do.
You're smarter than I am.
I go to the one in the waterway when I know I haven't saved in a while and I've changed locations to get there and I'm not sure who's going to be there. If it's like, going to be a weird Wyvern or Goldbez or something like that, if I'm feeling paranoid about that, I definitely save in the waterway.
I mean, I'd be feeling paranoid at this point in time. There's this sort of temptation when you're playing through a seed to sort of think of it as like, this seed is trying to do something and sort of give like a personality to the random number generator behind the scenes. You're thinking, all right, it's giving me all these free bosses. What's it trying to give me here on the throne?
Yep, and we are about to find that out through the Demas, not having any issues. GeminiHero right on Slippery's tails. Let's see who's sitting on this Baron throne. We're probably not going to be going to the underground throne here first. Definitely want to just get through it, get this key item.
Absolutely. You can drop the free save outside.
Hey!
It is Goldbez skipping a few steps in the storyline today.
Isn't this technically like a downgrade from his, leadership position?
It's one of those things where he's like the power behind the throne, but the throne is also not. It's complicated. The storyline of this plot or this game, like, because it kind of goes through its story beats, there's a lot when you start thinking about it that you really have to think about to try and sort it out properly, and that's one of them.
Yep, but not able to prepare for this fight, so everybody's down. We'll see what the Shadow Dragon lottery looks like. Hey, Slippery had a dodge on there.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate because I know. Oh, you know what it is? Or actually, no, it isn't a dodge. It's a bit unfortunate because Alchemy pointed out in chat that there was a ribbon in the Baron waterway as well, so that could have helped with this. There goes Tella down. There goes Rydia down. Is this Edge going to get the Star Veil off? Yes, I think we're fine.
Another ribbon. Gemini picked up 2 ribbons.
Was it 2 ribbons? There was another ribbon? Oh,
Yeah,
if he puts those ribbons on beforehand, that's going to save him a lot of time on this Goldbez, and he does.
Yeah, there was one in the waterway, and there's one in those 3 chests there on the right in the back.
Slippery is through this Goldbez fight, but I gotta imagine, having 2 ribbons on your party, that's going to be a huge advantage for Gemini in terms of just getting through this faster, as long as he has the Star Veils up quickly enough.
Yep, and getting the news, it's Goldbez, and we'll see how he decides to handle it. But who is our character? The man, the myth, the legend on the sword himself, Cecil, is in the party.
Getting rid of the Tella for that. Interesting. I think that I would be tempted to get rid of the Rydia at this point in time, but Slippery obviously has a plan in mind. We'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, Slippery may be thinking not D-Machine, thinking traditional Berserker party, and is going to get all the XP that he needs from that move.
Just look like the Sword and Dr. Luggage are going to be there holding the walls back today. One of my favorite, more recent Easter eggs that has been put in this game. Always a delight to see. I think the first time through I got White Maid Sprite and Leg, which was fantastic. And that is his hook, which means another character available to us.
Yep, and that's going to be, it looks like where Slippery is immediately already has the hovercraft up. Could be Fusoya sitting up in there, could be, I'm not sure, Rosa would be good, you know.
Rosa would definitely be good. We're not quite invested enough in this Porum, or at least far enough in this seed where we say, all right, we've already got Porum. Rosa's going to take too much work. We're definitely still in that band, so that would be good. Obviously, you know, if you get a dupe Edge or dupe Cecil, you probably take it. I mean, you just got another middle sword over on Slippery's side, and that's 2 middle swords. You know, that's perfectly fine. Very middling offense there. You know, there's a lot of good things you can find here, and most importantly, once we go down this hook route, see that, we never have to check again. The downside for Slippery is he just got rid of his source of exit, unless Porum's already learned it, which he might have at this point.
Yeah, and he may be thinking, you know, because with the amount of looting that Slippery's doing, maybe thinking Stalemate chest as well. That can get a decent chunk. Hey, there's Sirens and Bacchus wines in this shop.
Bacchus wines are another great like example of things that you always buy more of than you actually end up needing in the end, but always a great thing to find in that now we can just sell the inventory. We have Sirens if we think we need to get a little bit more experience. We've got plenty of ways of getting that from that. Now we've got the Berserk taken care of, so losing that Tella on Slippery's side, not quite as much of a downside to that. I think that's a pretty good find for him.
Yeah, oh wow, and black belts and tiaras there too in the armor shop. This Eblin shop given everything to make this party really serviceable.
This Eblin shop is like when you grow up in a small town, you go to a mall for the first time in like the 80s when it was still like cool and exciting. It's like, they've got something for everyone here. We've got the tiaras, we've got the black belts, we've got the Bacchus wine. Is there nothing they can't put in this one building?
Yep, and it looks like Gemini is going to be heading actually over to the tower, landed outside Tower Babel, so it's going to be either doing the tower key and or the top of Babel. Doesn't really have a lot of heavy hitters outside of that edge with the double ninja swords, but hey, Berserk Edge doing that, as long as he can stay alive, we'll get you through that fight.
Ogre Axe is Ogre Axe. Hopefully that'll work quite enough for him. At least I believe it's the more accurate of the two sort of Ogre Axes versus Poison Axe. But Slippery just hit the big thing to find here. Fusoya hanging out in the Cave Eblin food court today with the evil wall. And that's a real good pickup. Now we probably get rid of the Rydia.
Yeah, and Slippery is going to have an obvious advantage. The longer that GeminiHero doesn't go and check this character, Fu is going to exponentially increase this lead. Even if Slippery just follows Gemini right into the tower, Slippery's going to be clearing those fights a lot faster.
Nope, gonna get rid of the Porum instead. Interesting. Must think that Fu is gonna be enough on the healing side, which should be for quite a while. We'll see how that plays out in the long term.
The one thing I'm worried about, what if Fu doesn't have exit yet? As he checked.
You know, sometimes you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet kind of thing here.
Yep, it's just gonna use the warps to get out. Serviceable strategy for sure.
Meanwhile, GeminiHero is electing to take these alert fights here in the tower. We're going to try and pick up something good out of these trap chests. Not the best percentages on T Wildish in these particular trap chests, but still could spike something really good out of here.
Yeah, I think somebody said a 1 in 10 chance of getting an adamant armor. Not great odds, but you know, not necessarily doing the trap chest. It looks like for the loot is getting some Sirens. And we're going to be seeing Slippery dip into Eblin Castle with that Fu. This is definitely looking for trap chests.
Definitely, it's the dueling trap chest at this point in time. Slippery taking the bit more difficult, but also much higher value ones. It is, as you said, you know, the 1 in 10 chance, a little bit higher than that on T Wildish for those lower Babel trap chests. Cave Evelyn or Evelyn Castle, on the other hand, you get about a 1 in 3 chance of hitting one of those good tier 8 items, and any one of those would be great for this party right now.
Yeah, and already gearing up for the trap chest, threw the mute knife onto edge, rearranged the party. So definitely thinking I'm looking for trap chests, and I'm going to be clearing them as soon as I get them. Not going to be reset now.
Absolutely. Gemini just got through one of the trap chests on his side. We will see what that ends up dropping. Slippery hitting this Black Cat and Lamia chest. And there's an Excalibur on Gemini's side.
That's going to be something that's big. It's not Crystal Sword big, but it's still big because the jump from Ogre Axe to Excalibur is big. And while it's not, it probably does even things up with Slippery having to... never mind. I'm going to just retract everything I just said for the last 25 seconds.
Yep, absolutely. The only thing better than an Excalibur is a Crystal Sword. Guess what Slippery just found? It's a Crystal Sword. So, yeah. We're pretty good on both Cecils at this point in time. The real question to me then is, do you find better weapons for your edge on either side here? That might be a big difference. The jump from Excalibur to Crystal Sword is noticeable, but not quite as massive as having like edge fully geared as well versus not geared, in my opinion at least.
Yep, and we've got the Mistress of the Winds herself was hanging out in the cannon room. She's not gonna last long, only 1,000 HP, but she is still gonna destroy the cannon. That is gonna be a key item check for Gemini on his way out.
Yep, and we will not see that for a while, so it's gonna be a nice fun surprise later. Meanwhile, Slippery through this Mad Ogre chest. Let's see if he pulls out something else good.
And what is it?
You take those.
I blinked and I missed it.
It was Artemis arrows, which I believe he has that bow set up onto that Riddy at the moment, so could pop those on and get that going. I believe that you have to self-berserk for the infinite arrow thing, but we have wine, which... Let's do Dwarf Castle first before we give Riddy the wine, please. But other than that, we should be good.
Yep, Asura sitting at the top. That mute knife that Slippery has is going to come in handy. Not sure if Gemini has a mute knife for his edge.
I don't believe he does, but I think he might have an archer setup and mute arrows, which should work roughly the same. Either way, this shouldn't be too much of a threat. You just need to drop a wall on her and you're fine. The good thing is that GeminiHero does not need to burn Star Veils to get it. Well, I guess Slippery doesn't know he has a foo either, but yeah, can just drop a wall directly using Tella here instead of having to try and bounce that Star Veil back.
Yep, and that's what we're going to see. Here comes the wall from Tella. Everybody's waiting until that comes up, and then we'll start swinging away on the Asura. Probably will be able to take care of this pretty handily.
Yeah, the only real question is, does Horum have Blink if she's not firing mute arrows? In which case, we have doubled Blink. You can make this basically entirely free. Looks like we're going to go for Berserk instead. There is an Adamant armor out of the Sailman chest. That is unfortunate for GeminiHero over on Slippery's side.
Yeah, we're not sure if GeminiHero had plans to go back for these trap chests. Hopefully he does. But the longer Gemini does not go to Evelyn Castle and Slippery has that Adamant, the bigger this gap is going to be once Slippery starts working on these objectives. Crystal Sword, Adamant Armor Cecil is the single biggest advantage right here, and Slippery is just going to start going to town on objectives and key items.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's a bit unfortunate on Gemini's side. It's not really one of those things where you can ever count anyone out, especially in this tournament, but he's a little bit on the back foot right now. The big question is when do we get that Darkness Crystal? Where do we get that Darkness Crystal? And what do we do once we get it? If Gemini, say, not having the power that Slippery has, stays down on Earth, and let's say the Rat Tail and Twin Harp are both down on Earth, whereas Slippery gets the Darkness Crystal and is like, all right, got 4 objectives on the moon. I need to head straight up there right away. that could be an opportunity for Gemini to get back into the game because he won't be hunting quite as hard once he gets there. He would just need to go up there and just do his objectives, and that's it.
Yeah, and we don't know if Gemini checked what that Lunar Sparkle was there at the King Summon Monster spot. If you were going to stay and Harp or Rat Tail is behind those bosses, knowing what that Sparkle is really going to play to when you go back. So hopefully Gemini did check that before heading out of the Feymarch.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any of the other... I think we saw Pale Dim somewhere, didn't we? But we haven't seen the other ones. I'm having a hard time remembering at this point in time.
Maybe question mark. Hey, there's exit for that food.
It's real unfortunate that Slippery just got through everything that you can use exit on that he could do before getting there. It's one of those rando things. There's a Kane. I don't think we keep Kane. Well, I guess we keep Kane. Goodbye, Rydia. I'm not sure what we have for Kane is the problem.
Yeah, we really don't have a lot, but honestly, we don't really have a whole lot for Rydia either. We haven't found any of her really good summons. Even in the shops, we haven't found Leviathan summons. So, if Slippery's just going to say, listen, I've got Adamant Cecil, who's going to go burr. This is now a Berserk party. We're not going to worry about any casting. Cecil is my nuke.
I know I've seen Leviathan in one of those shops, actually. I want to say it might have actually even been here in Dwarf Castle, but I don't think Slippery has checked that shop yet, so he doesn't know that. But I know it's somewhere out there. I feel like I've seen it somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I promise I'm not making this up.
Oh, no. And Concussed Gamer is saying Peldim was in the Antlion spot.
It's good. Thank you for the backup chat. Always good to know that I have not just forgotten what bosses were on the table, which does happen from time to time. I guess we have that Ogre Axe for Kane, and that's kind of about the best we have right now. But that's still a goodish start.
I mean, it's representative of the group. You've got to use it.
Exactly. Not using the Dragoon armor, though, even though it's representative of Kane, the character, who was a Dragoon. So might have to take some points off for that when we get to the style point scoring of the program today.
Yeah, but that's still, enough to get an, MGP from Bull Saucer.
Exactly. Hey, there's more Artemis arrows.
More Artie arrows, and I missed what was it. Hey, there's the Crystal of Darkness. So, you know how I was saying earlier about how you can make an argument for that Penguinator special?
It turns out it was the right call for this seed. I still don't agree with you, but I think it was the right call for the seed.
For this seed, it worked out.
That's just how it works. 100% of the time, it works out all the time. The other percent of the time, it doesn't work out at all.
Well, especially because it does not look like the top of tower was a key item either. So we are going to be cracking some eggs. This is probably some preemptive. We're going to the moon, and we're going to let Cecil with his X-Scow go burr. Slippery, meanwhile, making the right call, heading into the tower. Going to get his Darkness Crystal, and we'll probably have zero issues with going right to the moon.
That's kind of the concern I have at the moment, though, is if GeminiHero goes straight to the moon and Slippery goes straight to the moon, then it's kind of becomes Slippery's race to lose a little bit. I think at some point we kind of need to see some divergence for Gemini to make up some of that advantage just from Crystal Adamant Cecil at this point in time. And this is a chance. The question is he just gearing up to go straight to the moon, or is he gearing up because maybe he's thinking, all right, I know there's a Sparkle down in Feymarch. I need to be strong enough to deal with that before anything else.
And also, too, we don't know what's on that Baron Basement Throne, that Odin spot yet. So that's another thing where it's an objective. That's got to be weighing on your mind a little bit in this type of race, too. When do I go down and check that? When am I going to be strong enough? And I think this X-Cow Cecil, with the gear that he's got, should be able to carve through most things that's down there.
Absolutely, it does look like Gemini heading back down into the Feymarch, so I guess we'll know who that Sparkle is soon, because this can only mean going for bosses.
Yeah, and this is actually a good move. Gemini may feel like, I'm not quite ready for the moon. I know there's 4 objectives up there, and he could be thinking, man, if I can find that Rat Tail and Harp, before going. I don't need to come back and use the pass, even though he's got it already.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right answer to what the good play is here. It's that sort of classic, just do your objectives, do your freebies sort of style of play versus, all right, how strong am I and what should I be doing on the basis of that style of play? And I think there's going to come a point where one or the other wins out. We'll just have to see which one it is.
Yeah, so we do know that this Sparkle is not Ogopogo or Pale Dim.
Wyvern is scary at that spot. That spot
Very
is
scary.
lightning fast.
Same with D Lunars, but being fast is actually, not very conducive for that fight, just because it makes it getting to the frogs a whole lot faster.
Definitely. Of course, if it's Plague, then... yeah. If it's Plague, it's Plague.
Looks like Slippery is setting up to life lock the Sasura.
That's interesting. That might be a bit slower than Gemini's way around it, although it does have that mute knife to be swinging away with that edge, so that'll be helpful in terms of that. Also, we are going to see Gemini dropping the life glitch on that officer, going to get that bonus experience out of here, so real good play there, making sure he's getting the most out of these encounters while he's down here.
Agreed. This is really good, especially if you were sitting there doing the eggs. You did your 6 eggs that you bought earlier. Like, I might need a little bit more XP. Oh, let's go life glitch that officer, a soldier fight, and get another good healthy chunk of XP. This is probably an egg and a half.
Egg and a half and a key item check, and who knows, this could drop a crystal sword or an adamant armor as well and sort of create that bit of parity. Obviously, if it's an adamant armor, then Slippery will eventually probably have, or possibly have, 2 adamant armors, but that's a whole different can of worms that we're not going to worry about right now.
Just like how we're not going to break down the tiebreaker scenarios for this match.
Absolutely not. That's a spoon, that's a dart, that's okay if you hit a bad fight. So that's, of all the zonks that you can have that don't lead to anything, probably the best one at this point, so at least it's something.
Yeah, maybe a pigtail would have been a little bit better. Maybe pigtail's a little bit better.
I mean, Pigtail is a little bit better, but I mean, I don't count Pigtail as not leading to anything, you know?
Alright, who is this Lunar Sparkle?
Pigtail is basically just pass with some extra steps at the end of the day. That's a play. Yeah. So Plague really just sort of flies there and casts Count, and that's about it. This shouldn't be too difficult. It's quite a bit of HP, so might be a little bit finicky to get through just by, making sure that you knock over that Tella, then you revive that Tella, he casts Count again, resets the timers, and should get through it eventually, but it's a little bit annoying to get through, more than dangerous.
Yeah, we did not get the Star Veils up, but we do have the agility set up to where we could be sitting at the 0-0 count. So, with Edge and Cecil both berserk, we shouldn't run out of time.
Oh, looks like he might know that. I'm gonna go for it. We'll see. Should be fine. There's another count, I guess, as well with that Tella. And Slippery has that Darkness Crystal in hand now. Gonna go pop a few eggs of his own.
This is probably just to get that cane up. Definitely get a little safety XP for the Cecil, even though he's got an adamant armor. But probably just wanting to make sure that cane is serviceable because the Fu is full powered. So this party is ready to full clear that move.
Absolutely, and that's going to be 4 objectives just up there alone. This could lead to a very fast finish depending on how the key items are laid out. Or if Gemini stays down here and those key items are down here, Gemini only has to deal with those actual moon altars, doesn't have to go to cave value, doesn't have to go anywhere else. That could swing it back in his favor. We'll end up seeing as soon as we know where Slippery's going here.
All right, looks like GeminiHero's down to just waiting for the Berserkers to get through this. It looks like the agility is set up to where this count will not run out. So this is, if you needed a quick coffee break.
Your chance was during that fight, and it has now ended.
That's right. And is he rewarded? He is.
That's a required sparkle, and Slippery is headed to the moon. That is a potential big break, especially if this rat tail is somewhere else on the blue planet.
Not even that. If the rat tail's on the moon, that's going to be 2 less spots that you're going to check. You're not going to check, the Crystal Sword Altar or the cave value when you're full clearing this moon. Slippery is going to full clear this moon.
Absolutely. Any out that GeminiHero can use that means that he does not have to full clear that moon is his chance sort of back into this race. A bit behind, I believe, did not go to Dwarf Castle at this point, but he is headed straight to Cave Magnus to turn in this Twin Harp.
Yeah, I like this play too, because if Twin Harp leads into Rat Tail, that's going to be even bigger, and Gemini will be handily in the driver's seat. I would actually do Odin Throne before going to this moon.
Yeah, definitely. Unless, of course, you get an Earth Crystal from this and it just works out that you end up at Baron. That might have been a little bit faster, but we'll see here.
But we're heading to Cave Magnus. Why am I getting so excited for Cave Magnus? And
I don't know, but I would assume that it has something to do with the fact that there are a few things that we like to randomize about this game, just beyond where the bosses are, where the key items are, where the characters are, where the loot is, all that stuff. And one of those is the fun little harp tune that Edward plays when we get down here to the bottom of Cave Magnus to break the Dark Elf spell. I want to give a shout out to Xenocat, who I believe is lurking around in chat tonight watching, who's been doing wonderful work with the newer songs into the Heart Pool. They've added a lot of really interesting stuff to it, and hopefully we'll see one of those tonight. If not, any one of them's fine. They're all great.
Absolutely. Oh, 20 HP off. Will she get another one? No, she won't. Yeah, once this heart goes up, we will be quiet here in the booth so that we can enjoy the tunes of DJ Spoony B as he gives us a rendition of his song of choice for the evening.
I used to speedrun the PSP version of Final Fantasy 1, and that still makes me think of the bats that they're always in the way. Always in the way.
Always in the way. Not just Marsh Cave, Earth Cave too.
Oh, the Earth Cave bats are even worse, but they don't have that tune behind them, so it doesn't count as much. But, not getting anything, I think, out of that Cave Magnus check, so nothing really great. There's a spoon available to him from the Feymarch. He can still throw at someone's face, but hasn't really gotten much of an advantage over Slippery aside from just getting that
just that objective is going to be advanced because Slippery's going to chase any key items that he finds on the moon first. That's going to be a last location on that heart.
Definitely. The clock is ticking. Where does Gemini go from here? Does he go to the moon? If he goes to the moon, this might not work out for him, but looks like he's heading up there.
Yeah, I would have liked to have checked that Odin throne first, but Gemini also knows that he's got to find the key item anyway, so he's going with the quantity checks.
Yeah, I don't dislike this play. I think I probably should note that I'm not saying this might not work out for him in the sense that I think this is a bad play, as much as it is, I think his best chance is finding that rat tail elsewhere before Slippery can find it. And of course, if the rat tail is from one of these checks, then Gemini is still just that one key item from Go mode that Slippery will not be. So there is still every chance for him to make it up. But now we need that rat tail to be from one of these required boss fights.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind too that our runners do have that Luca key still in their pocket, and so Slippery is going to be clearing through a lot of these fights, not necessarily this Octoman fight faster, because Crystal Sword is like 2 Ninja Sword Edge, but Nuke Fu on the other hand and Lit 3 Fu is going to do some work that Gemini still has not gone down the hook route to get that Fu. So we don't know who's in the Baron throne room, or in the Baron basement, and we don't know what's at that Luca key. So Rat Tail could be at either one of those, but I don't hate doing these objectives and because this is a bunch of key item checks.
It's a bunch of key item checks. It's also a bunch of experience once we get going here. The question on my mind is, what direction do you take on the moon if you're in Gemini's seat, where we have 8 key items versus Slippery's 6? Slippery's not caring quite so much about the XP, but Gemini does have that fighting chance of getting that 10th key item before he hits the real big ticket XP down at the Ribbon Room, and that might inform his routing and might lead him to do a top-down moon if he decides he needs to full clear, which would be doing an extra boss fight here.
I would, me personally, looking at these objectives, I would probably go Mura, White Spear, Massive Moon, Ribbon myself, if it was me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's also a chance, you take the sort of modified top-down where you still skip the Crystal Sword altar, but not really that threatening of bosses down here so far either. Dr. Dialogue is Dr. Dialogue. He can be a bit annoying, but as long as you get him down enough in his second phase to not just get lasered in the face, you're fine. Octoman, not really that much of a threat either. We'll see what's here at this mirror altar as Gemini goes to check that first.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if either runner had picked up a Thunderclaw anywhere. I know there was a lot of looting, a lot of shopping going on, so we don't really have a full view of what's in the inventories. But if Gemini does have a Thunderclaw, that's going to speed up that Octomammoth fight quite a bit. But yeah, let's see who's here at this Mura spot.
Yeah, it would speed up the Dr. Luggage fight too. One of those things where unfortunately I think we've only found the Cat Claw, which only gives bonus damage against cats, none of which are bosses in this particular flag set.
That honestly just baffled my brain. Knowing you said it, and I knew it wasn't right, but it still broke my brain a little bit to hear you say that the Cat Claw does bonus damage to cats.
There are no cat bosses. We'll never know. Have you ever had a Cat Claw equipped while going through the Evelyn trap chest? I don't think you have. But speaking of Evelyn, there's a free boss right here at the mirror altar.
Yep, and this is going to be beneficial. Slippery obviously going to be doing this fight as well, but Gemini, if this is another key item, that's going to really play into the overall experience game. There's another Adamant Armor for Slippery hanging out in the White Spear room. GeminiHero will be claiming that at some point as well.
That will help a bit once Gemini gets it, because now we know that Gemini will get an Adamant Armor in the seed regardless. Obviously, it'll be a little bit late to make up some of the time difference, But on Slippery's side, where he already has that first adamant armor, he's gonna probably wait to turn that in until he has the rat tail in hand, because otherwise he's making 2 trips.
Yep, and we are now going to be heading right down to the Masa Mune altar. Going to be checking out who's down here. I'm hoping for that Blard to be showing up.
I'm hoping for Magnus this year still. It's my favorite thing, that you feel like it shouldn't be as difficult as it is, and that it's just really, really not.
But we've got a mute knife on our edge. Oh.
Well, it's a kind of mage.
Yeah, it likes to do things that hurt a lot.
So Moon Antlion is no fun. He punches hard, he counters hard, and GeminiHero has gotten a package for that Mirasame altar with King Queen Emblem, just as a quick note, which does put him at 9 key items, 1 away from that XP bonus, so that might help take some of the time back. Yeah, Antlion, no fun most of the time here.
But Crystal Sword Adamant Armor Cecil will be having words with the Moonbug himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing about Crystal Sword Adamant Armor Cecil. He's kind of like you know, there's 2 different ways you can get through a door. You can pick the lock or you can kick the door down, and Cecil is the kick the door down option, whereas other ways you might have to pick the lock here, so definitely a good thing for Slippery to have.
Yeah, and
if this wasn't an objective, you'd also have the option of break a window by going somewhere else, but that doesn't
right
here.
Yeah, nope, and that Antlion is down just a glass hat, so not going to be another key item for Slippery, but GeminiHero, should Gemini do the White Spear before Ribbon Room, will have 10 key items for that Octomammoth experience, which would be really good. Slippery is probably going to be heading over the Crystal Sword altar here now.
Yeah, still sitting at only 8 key items, so he's not going to have the XP bonus at all before leaving the moon. He'll have full cleared the moon without getting to 10 key items, so that's going to be a little bit of a blow in terms of, you know, getting some of the levels that he might want for later in the seed, especially where there's not really any huge XP spots left. Might have to do a tiny bit of grinding if he wants to add a little bit of extra safety, although I think he probably is still going to be fine.
Yeah, and with this Crystal Sword altar, we've only got 2 moon spots left that are going to give a key item, and we still have not found that rat tail, and we could get the Pan, Earth Crystal, to be able to give us one of those, and those are going to really distract Slippery, as well as that Luca key, from finding that Twin Harp as well. Oh, Gemini having hard times here. Gonna just go for it with the Excal Cecil. This is gonna take Gemini a little bit of time.
Honestly, I would be tempted to reset right now and save the time, just because Octomam is resistant to Holy, and Excalibur hits with Holy damage, meaning that it is only going to hit for about 1,000 each. Meanwhile, over on Slippery's side, ouch has occurred, and that's a Crystal Sword altar down.
And the key item is the Rat Tail. So the full clear of the moon is the right play here.
You ever seen a seed where every single altar on the lunar subterrane is hard required?
No, I have not. This is a first for me. Chat, has anybody else in chat seen this?
Is this something that happens on these flags, or are we witnessing history here that hopefully we'll see again? Because this does make for a very interesting situation here. The big danger on Slippery's side, that rat tail leads to like a pan that leads to an earth crystal, because that's a lot of rabbit holes.
I honestly though, I think that if that one, I think that's got to happen, unless it's at the Barren Throne. But I think Slippery's going to do Sealed Cave before that Feymarch.
definitely. I would not be surprised by a last location. I think that harp was behind the sparkle as well, wasn't it? Which is almost certainly going to be the last one as well. So, it's a bit unfortunate, but Slippery might have set himself up with his routing to accidentally sort of leave that one last required thing to last, which could go badly. But Gemini, on the other hand, on the other side, might be through this Octoman fight.
It is.
Cecil.
Not ideal. You want more people to get that XP, but it's going to have 10 key items for these last 3 moon altars if Gemini chooses to full clear the moon. Hopefully he does that to get his rat tail.
Just to quickly answer a question from chat about Feymarch being 2 checks that might swing it. We know at this point, because GeminiHero has done the Feymarch, that twin heart that's required for that 6th objective, complete Cave Magnus, is behind the king spot. So we know where everything in the seed is. We know that it's just a matter of time until Slippery goes back there. The big question is going to be, when does he go back for it?
Yeah, and a lot of runners will typically follow the chains, especially at this point in the seed, follow these chains so that, we turn in this rat tail, we're going to get the earth crystal, and you got to be thinking in your mind, oh, if it was at that Feymarch that I totally left back there, it probably would have, my opponent they'd be done by now. So, you start thinking in your head of these scenarios. I know I do it in running. I don't know if other people do, but, you'll kind of metagame a little bit. And you're trying to justify your choice to fade those checks and not even check it. So I think Slippery's going to turn in this rat tail, do Baron, and follow whatever chains those 2 spots give. That would be my guess.
Interestingly enough, not going for cave value, which we know is the correct option right now, but does not go over there, not tempted at all by it. We know Gemini won't because he should go up at this point in time. Sort of going back to what you were saying about chains, I think it's one of those things where sunk cost is not always a fallacy when it comes to routing. Because if you have had to make a decision between one of 2 different things and you get something from that decision, if you go over to the other side of that, 2 different paths, if you go back and take the other fork, you're losing all that time you spent going back, because anyone who went down that other path to begin with has already passed you at this point during that time. So you might as well keep going, keep chasing, unless you're just trying to route everything together. And with only 1 key item left, that's the time to chase.
Yeah, and Slippery still has to do the harp check too. So even if Slippery goes immediately to that Feymarch, by the time he's done with Feymarch, and by the time that he is done with the harp, put the hovercraft 1 space too far to the left. Gemini will be done with the moon, and so they'll be meeting up at that Baron or even Zeromus at that point.
This is still a wide open race. Shout outs to GeminiHero being down in Crystal Sword, Adamant Armor, Cecil for most of the seed. And still, we don't know who's going to win this race right now. It's still completely wide open. Obviously, Slippery going to go ahead and grab that second Adamant Armor with the pink tail at this point. But really, it's just a matter of how quickly does Slippery get through everything and when does he go to Feymarch first. Gemini's still definitely with a very strong chance right now.
So, I think the biggest thing that derails Slippery right now is if he does Odin Throne right now, which it looks like that's where he's going, and it gives the Earth Crystal. I think that's going to be the biggest thing that, or even the Pan. And the reason I say that is because he'll feel like he needs to check it. And I think if Slippery doesn't chase it and does Luca, then he's going to do Feymarch right after that.
It's a 1 in 3 chance right now that he finds a chain here. Right. We know that there's only 3 different places that those Earth Crystal and Pan can be. Either Cave Value, Baron Basement Throne, and that Luca Cave. So he's got a real good chance of accidentally falling down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah, the more Sand Ruby and item that he gets out of these checks, the more it's going to lead him back to that Feymarch.
Absolutely. Step Lively pointing out in chat, the rat tail not being a chain is one of those things that's very good for Slippery, because again, not going to be tempted to go down that chase. Only finding Leviathan here at that Baron Basement Throne. So this won't be a difficult fight, even if we'd have gone to it basically right when we were here. Might have thrown a little bit of a problem. So this is a nice, easy way of getting through this spot here.
Yep, as meanwhile, GeminiHero is getting the news of the googly-eyed monster himself is sitting at the bottom of the moon.
Yep, gonna start throwing up blinks with, well, not Tella, because Tella has decided to take a nap at the moment. Sees this beautiful glass floor and it's like, I want to look down and see what's at the bottom of this, because I can see through this floor. It must be fascinating.
I'm not sure he willingly chose to take that nap.
There is an Earth Crystal from that Baron.
Oh no. Alright, Slippery, where do you go? Are you chasing the Earth Crystal, or are you gonna go to the underground?
I think there's two different schools of thought here. There's a school of thought of, that was a Leviathan. This is not a difficult boss. If I mean, when you come here late, you're kind of thinking that maybe your opponent might have already done that and it might be worth going the other route. It's kind of hard to say. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it's closer than the other checks, and that might play into it too.
Yep, we will see which way he goes. Two very different flying patterns, and he's going underground. Now, does he do Sealed Cave or does he go to the Feymarch?
I think you do Sealed Cave first, because you can check it, reset out. It looks like he's going to go Forge, which... That's a dart for edge and a shop, so that could be helpful, but not really required here.
This is looking for Hanzo's seal for edge in the shop, I think.
Oh, almost certainly. And if not, then an Excalibur that you can throw at something is always nice to have, even if it doesn't, really give you as much as you might hope.
Power shirt, not useful when we have two adamant armors.
Yep, on the other hand, this shop is the #1 consumer of the apples from Baron Orchard, as we all know. So it does have both the Agapple and Oapple available here if you choose to buy them. We are going to buy a power shirt here and 2 apples, so nice little snack on the way to wherever we're going next.
Yep, and then we will see is Sealed Cave. So as GeminiHero has got to make a choice, is Gemini going to leave or is Gemini going to do? I got to think when you're in your back of your mind, it's like, we got to do that last check, especially since I only got 2 key items out of here. And how early that Darkness Crystal is. You don't want to leave that Crystal Sword Altar.
You really don't. I think we'll see him go up for that very quickly, and once he gets that, that'll be the rat tail. He'll be that Leviathan fight and that turn in away. We could be seeing GeminiHero in go mode very soon, looking like he was going to exit for a moment there, maybe deciding not to.
Yep, looks like he's going to start walking back. Oh no. Oh no. Okay,
just healing up. Good.
Okay. Oh, I thought he was going to exit there.
Both collectively holding our breath here that this was not going to be a drop a save and check something thing, and GeminiHero making the right decision. He doesn't know it yet, but going up here, GeminiHero effectively in go mode before Slippery is.
Yeah, and this is a free fight. This is the karate fight, so is going to get the ouch and move on quickly. So is going to be Leviathan is going to be the only thing in Gemini's way. So it'll just come down to, does Gemini feel like he's comfortable with the levels? And that Porum is really low level.
See, it's a big question of how much damage do you think you're going to do. And Porum's always a low level is the problem. That's kind of the problem with Porum, isn't it? She just does not have the HP growth. And I think that you're kind of right there, that maybe the big deciding factor here, not necessarily whether or not GeminiHero gets through this quickly, but whether or not he decides to grind and for how long here. As Slippery about to find this, well, this could be a pan. You might be tempted to walk it out. Just a sand ruby. definitely going to reset.
Yep. So that means Pan is either behind Earth Crystal or Cave Value. Slippery is probably going to head to the Feymarch now, get through those 2 checks. It does have to do Cave Magnus. So even though he's going to be in go mode after clearing these 2 fights, he's still going to be a couple of minutes behind Gemini, who is going to immediately exit out of this moon and head there.
Yep, Gemini now 100% in go mode. Slippery gonna be there as soon as he gets through the plague fight down here. Probably will take that officer soldier fight first. That's gonna be another little bit of sunk time, but that fight's not gonna last very long.
No, and so the biggest thing that's gonna cost Slippery time will be the harp check. And then for Gemini, it's gonna be how comfortable is Gemini going into this Aromas fight with these levels. I'm looking at Slippery's party and Slippery's levels and what Slippery has. Slippery's ready to go. Gemini might feel like he's got to do some eggs. He did not check the Evelyn shop, so doesn't know that the sirens are there.
It's either that or he just has faith in his ability to nerf big bangs, which if you can get those nerfs off 100% of the time, then you'll get through with those levels still. It's really, really hard to say at this point, and we really won't know until Gemini really is basically going for wherever he goes from here.
Yep, so Gemini's going to do Tails first. Definitely like this play. Get that Adamant armor before going into the Baron Throne. We know that he's going to get Forge after this, which probably not going to Forge. But it's still going to be set up with at least 1 Adamant armor. I think this is probably Gemini's race to lose at this point. Gemini's got to just execute on Zeromus, and I think he can pull it out.
Absolutely. It's one of those, it's Gemini's race to lose, but as far as these races go, this is one of the least 100% sure Zeromuses I've seen in a while, just because of those levels, so it's definitely possible. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being down on Gemini's chances there, just sort of setting up the idea that this is going to be a very, very tough fight, and if he can pull it off, then he wins.
Oh,
I think he's forgotten the basement throne.
Yep, he did. Okay, he checked. That's okay. That happens. And to go and to piggyback off that comment, me personally with Gemini's party in the way it is right now, I would not feel comfortable with that fight. I like having Porum with that Cure 4. That's my benchmark for her. Even with a white robe and the decent amount of gear that we've got, any weird random big bang that just comes out and just wipes Porum out, and you're gonna be sitting there like, oh, how am I gonna get through this?
Definitely, but I'm always in awe of the sheer talent of our runners at getting through situations that I don't think that they're necessarily going to be able to get through otherwise. And any runner in this tournament, you put them there, even if I'm not necessarily comfortable with going into that fight, there's a pretty good chance they'll pull it off.
Oh, absolutely. That's been probably my favorite takeaway of this. When you go look at the Adamant Cup site, you look at the group rankings, the ones highlighted in green, you're going to see a few familiar faces, but you're going to see a lot of new faces too. And that's what's been the biggest joy to me of this entire event, is how many new people have really stepped up their game, have really started to show their talent in this flag set, and it's been a joy to watch every single one of these races.
Absolutely. Slippery now with that Twin Harp in hand, now in go mode as well, needs to head up to Troya. Will be right there already, at least, to turn in that pass when the time comes, but GeminiHero already through that Baron Castle basement fight. We'll see, is he feeling up to doing this fight, or does he feel a need to try and grind a little bit first? That is the real big question here that's coming up soon.
Yep, and with the crystal in hand, Slippery getting a little bit more loot and is grabbing that black bow. So we are going to get another rendition of music, possibly during the Aromas fight. This is going to be so close.
Absolutely. It's so difficult to say what will happen from here. We're really waiting for Gemini to get out of these doors. Where does he go? That is the big decision point here. Does have 2 sirens. Could decide to pop those first, but that landing at Troy earlier makes me think he thinks he's ready to go.
Yep, and it looks like that's the case. Gonna get the party going. Battle speed's up to 3. That means wants to make sure it has the max amount of input time for the Berserkers. Cecil's levels are good. Edge's levels are good. Porum, I think she's a level short. I can't remember. Cure 4, 47 or 48 for her.
It all comes down to this Zeromus fight that we have going here. And I think as much fun as a reprise of music is, we probably need to do a little bit of explaining of what's about to occur here.
Yeah, so Zeromus in this flag set is always awaiting us here at the end of the seed. We get the crystal, we reveal his true form. He's ugly in his normal form, but we like to make him cuter, usually. I mean, there's some that are definitely not cute, don't get me wrong. But we have over 550 different Zeromus sprites that Zeromus can be in which begs to us to ask the question, and Nth, you want to do the honors?
Absolutely. For his last chance to stay in contention for the Adamant Cup here, GeminiHero gonna be asking that question himself. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
How is the butt? I'll ask it. How is the butt?
Where is the butt? Because this void at the end of nowhere has always confused me a little bit.
Why?
Is this just supposed to be like stars, or...
It's void. Just void.
Where is it? It's nowhere. Okay,
Nowhere.
sure.
Not here. Waiting this crystal throw to reveal the sprites. Does it have a hat? That's a very good question. It very well could have a hat. There's 550 different options. Slippery is through the Twin Harp, though. So going to be exit. It is going to be right there at Troya. So we'll be hot on Gemini's heels. That is
Tails Doll from Sonic R.
That is horrifying.
I love Tails Doll. What are you talking about? Look at him. He's adorable. He's got a little face. He's very intense. But, you know, he's great.
Just staring into my soul. The eyes follow you around, too.
He's just wondering, as Alchemy said in chat, can you feel the sunshine? Because he's going to make sure.
Yeah. Alright, Gemini, here we go. Cure 4, taking care of the nerf heal on Edge. Gonna get these Berserkers berserked up and swinging. Slippery is coming out of the Chocobo Forest right on his heels. Gonna be about a minute or so behind. Oh, I couldn't afford that last Soma drop.
That is just kind of the Tella problem. Tella starts with 100 less MP than Fu, and outside of the health, that is like the real big problem, because you can only get, I think, 2 Cure 4s off before you run out. We are entirely on Porum time right now, and Slippery is hot on GeminiHero's heels. They're about to head into the Zeromus fight himself.
Cure 3 coming out from this Porum isn't enough to get the party up. It looks like it does it most of the way. This is going to come down to how well does Gemini nerf these big bangs, and how much damage is this Ninja Sword Edge and Excal Cecil dishing out. It's about 6 to 7k a round, which is really solid. It's really solid output.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gemini is going to be fine. Porum might go down. The biggest threat, I think, to him is the combo platter right now. That big bang into Medio. And depending on whether or not he nerfs the next big bang, because I think we're definitely going to see the second one here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then now we have Slippery coming in. Slippery's got a little bit more powered up party, but is the damage for Slippery going to be enough to close this gap to catch up to Gemini, or does Gemini need to wipe to give Slippery a chance?
I think Gemini needs to wipe at this point. We're quite far in. We do have the crystal going off. That is going to be the counter nuke afterwards. Thankfully lands on the Cecil, who, well, maybe the Cecil isn't the one with the adamant armor on now I think about it. I did not see the Gemini put it on.
I think it is Cecil, but that was a high roll.
Yeah, it does look like Cecil is going to maybe go down as long as this Big Bang is... Nope. Nice low roll, and GeminiHero showing the skill there, getting that nerf out. Meanwhile, Slippery has the crystal out. We see Tails Dolomus on his side. If you thought this sprite was great as 1, you'll love it as 2. We're in stereo now, and let's see where this goes from here.
Yep, getting the Cure 3 out. Team is popped up for GeminiHero. Fight is getting started for Slippery. Let's see if the damage output is going to be enough. Here comes the Silk Web for the nerf. Dart comes out. Berserks are nullified for Gemini, though, so let's see if Gemini can get the team back up.
Yeah, I believe Gemini does not have Bacchuses either, because I believe those were also in that Evelyn shop, but we're in rocks.
There's the rocks. Is he going to get through? No worry about a Wombo combo now.
Only hits that Porum there. Already has the Cure 3 queued up. That looks like it's going to be fine. I think Gemini might have it.
I think so, too. There it is. There's the crack boom. Get your GGs in chat for GeminiHero with an official time 1 hour, 32 minutes, 27 seconds. And we'll see about getting them in here for an interview. And that ding means here. GGs to you, GeminiHero.
Oh, GGs. Thank you so much. I was really worried there for a little while, honestly. Things that happened to me that run. But yeah, I honestly can't believe it worked out.
Would you believe it if we told you that you just managed to beat a Crystal Sword Adamant Armor Cecil for most of the seed?
Oh my, Slippery had a Crystal Sword?
Yes, and an Adamant Armor.
Up to Evelyn, yep.
What? Oh my goodness, wow. And had an Adamant for a while?
And a Foo. Slippery went and checked the hook right away, got Foo from the hook route, and immediately did Evelyn Trap Chest, got a Crystal Sword. At the same time, you got an Excalibur.
Wow.
And then the next chest was an Adamant Armor.
Okay, wow. I felt really lucky to pull that Excalibur where I did, to be honest with you. So I was like, you know what? It's an Excal. I'm not going to go plunging any more chests. Like, you know, what am I really going to find anyways? That's going to make a difference. Of course. Crystal Sword was like right around the corner. Fu was kind of the same thing. I was like, well, you know, I got Tella. I have Porum. The party works. I'm not going to take a long dive just on the off chance I find someone good. Because it could be Yang, could be Edward. So I just figured I'd stick with what worked, but dang, that did make it really close. I can imagine Slippery caught up to me really fast afterwards.
Yeah, and actually, we just saw Slippery's finish at 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 44 seconds. We are joined in the chat by Slippery. GG's to you, Slippery, as well.
Thanks.
So, one thing that I want to start with a little bit on Gemini's side, you sort of big turning point, at least from our perspective, that really kind of gave you the win here is your decision to take on the Feymarch bosses when you did. What sort of led you to make that decision at that point?
So at that point, I think the first time that I saw them, I noticed it was blue guards, which I thought could either be Baron guards or the weaker ones with the general. So after I left and did, I think it was Ordeals that had the actual Baron guards on it.
Mm-hmm.
I came back and thought to myself, I know what this fight is. I've done it before at this spot. We have coffins. I've got life potions to even get a little bit of a boost. I swiped some sirens before at the Tower of Babel so that I could get some levels up to make sure I was capable of doing it, and plus the Excal Cecil gave me, I guess, the confidence to really try taking that on. Moon Boss, I had no idea what it was going to be. If it was Wyvern, you know, agility shenanigans abound, but since it was Plague, that was actually kind of workable. It was a bit of a miracle that I got that Plague win where I did, though. I think Edge and Cecil survived like 6 attacks at 0 count.
Mm-hmm.
My heart almost stopped. But yeah, I think that's more or less what I was thinking about.
Yeah, and my question to switch over to Slippery is, Slippery, when you came back from the moon, you had the rat tail in hand, you're looking for the twin harp, and your options were go to the Luca Cave or go to the Tower of Zot. Or, you know, Luca Cave, Feymarch, or the Tower of Zot. You went, you turned in Forge, did the Sealed Cave. What led you to decide to go underground instead of doing that Zot check?
Mostly just because I didn't need more characters. I think Treasury would have been okay just to get like a better weapon for Kane, but that late in the seed, not really. and there are just way more checks underground, a lot faster of checks too. I mean, I think Zod and Zod's 2 bosses, plus a cutscene, plus a pretty long run. Luca Caves, just a pretty long run, and you can reset before even the fight happens. So I figured I'd do that one first, and then go for the Feymarches.
Yeah, we were worried if that Luca Cave was the pan, would you have reset out of that still, or would you have walked that one out?
Oh, I would have absolutely walked that one out, because I mean, when you're down to 1 key item needed for go mode, I mean, you have to check all possibilities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, you did not make any wrong checks. You ran a very excellent race in this. This came down to, just very good execution on both of your guys' parts. Slippery, you full cleared the seed pretty much in an hour and a half. That's fantastic. So, excellently run race by both of you guys today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was crazy. I think honestly I got really lucky that things were where they were, because I definitely did not do a full clear in an hour and a half. Like I got through most of the moon, but I left a fair few things behind on the underworld. Didn't do Luca Cave, never hit Yang with the pan, stuff like that. So I think I got really lucky. Twin Harp was where it was, basically.
And for me, I mean, I had like Crystal Sword and Adamant on Cecil, so I just got really arrogant, I guess, and did a few non-serious things like turning in Forge.
Nah, I mean, I wouldn't call that arrogance. When you went to the moon, I was like, with your party, that's exactly where I would have went right after. So I mean, lockstep with probably a number of people in chat say probably nodding their heads too. With Adamant's Crystal Sword, Cecil, and Fu, you can full clear the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting the moon to be quite as free as it was either. I mean, it usually is. There's usually some kind of curveball up there. So, I mean, I could have gotten away in retrospect with, even skipping the mini grind I did.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering where Wyvern was actually.
Yeah, me too.
And now that I think about it, where'd you get Kane?
Let's see.
Dwarf.
Did I? Dwarf
Oh,
Castle?
it was at Dwarf Castle. Okay, all right, that makes sense. That was another check that I faded. I just remembered. So I ended with like Porum, Tella, Cecil, and Edge. So, yeah, that makes sense.
So Slippery, I think with this loss, unfortunately, that means that you won't be in contention for a tiebreaker. I think this was a must-win for both of you guys. So let's start with you. How are you feeling about your Adamant Cup experience so far?
Oh, well, it was fun to play against such a great group of opponents. I mean, like, I think ever since the group was revealed, a lot of people were saying this was the group of death. And I have a lot more fun playing on, easier, more generous treasure flag sets, so being able to face those, pretty much anybody who's a threat to, like, kind of win the whole tournament, or at least go really far, to face that caliber of player under more fun flags. It's all good for me.
Awesome. Yeah, and like I said, it does mean that your time in the Adamant Cup is over, but do you have any plans for going forward? And gonna be doing some ladder or anything like that?
I usually just stick with doing Seed of the Weeks as my keeping in shape. Otherwise, I just randomly stream other games. The old Steam backlog's getting pretty big, so gotta knock that down.
And so, Gemini, you have one more match tomorrow, I believe, and I believe if you win that, you should be in contention to be in a tiebreaker. Am I correct?
I actually wasn't aware, to be honest. After I lost the first 3 matches and kind of seeing the caliber of everyone in Ogre Axe, I thought that I was already out.
Yeah,
so I'm actually surprised to hear that.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was thinking like this match wouldn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things either. So I
yeah.
had a little bit fun by checking the job dwarf and stuff.
We were talking about that in the pre-race. We were still trying to figure it out, but I think with the win tomorrow, Gemini, and a couple of the other races falling a certain way, you can tie the 2 and 3s.
Wow. Well, I'm certainly going to do my best, but it's been kind of rough going. Like Slippery said, this Ogre Axe bracket has been no joke, and this is my first tournament. This is like the first 3 matches I've done in like a serious setting for this game. So I don't necessarily have expectations that I'm going to get out of group phase. I never really did, but I'm certainly going to give it my best, and who knows? We might see some kind of upset if I can get luck like this a couple more times.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, being your first event and scoring a win in the event, and not to underplay, Slippery. Slippery is, you are a good runner. Don't get me wrong. I've seen you race before. You're very good, especially with what you did tonight. Just getting any win in the group flags is an achievement in and of itself, especially in your first event. So hats off to you for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm honestly really happy that I was able to pull off at least one win during the tournament. But I honestly, even if I'd gone 0-5, I would have had so much fun. I've already learned so much from all the opponents I've fought against so far, and that's all I can really ask for an event like this.
That's all I have. Int, do you have anything else?
No, I just want to say, very, very well run race to both of you. You both showed that, even if necessarily, obviously tomorrow is a big match for Gemini, obviously not quite so much. On the other hand, you both showed that you can definitely be competitive in this group of people, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do, not only in case of Gemini, what you do tomorrow, but in both of your cases, what you do in tournaments going forward as well.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. And GG's again, Slippery. It was definitely an honor.
Yeah, GG, and best of luck to you tomorrow.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, GG's to both of you. If you haven't done so, please give GeminiHero and Slippery a follow on their channels. Give them some support. They put on an excellent race for us here tonight. While this is the end of our race, this is not the end of Free Enterprise. We have another one going on, don't we, Em?
We do? Oh, I thought we were closing a randomizer. Okay. Well, I believe we are going to be sending you over to Free Enterprise 2 for the match between Sorbius and Cubs Rule 21. A quick reminder to everyone to not spoil the outcome of this race, and another quick thank you to our behind-the-scenes team behind me and Bad Karma tonight, Neobari on the restream and Warlink05 on the tracking. Make sure you give them both a follow as well, and we will see you over on the other channel. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night. We'll see you not only on FE2, but have a number more races tomorrow.